Hare Krishna. So welcome back. Let's start with this prayer for invoking auspiciousness.
Om
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So happy Ram Navami to all of you. So it's a very auspicious day, appearance day of Lord Ram today. Lord Ram, the meaning of the name of Lord Ram is quite interesting. So Ram means a reservoir of all happiness, reservoir of all pleasure. And we have been discussing about this yesterday, that how can we get happiness? And we were talking about the sacrifice will lead to happiness and the sense enjoyment leads to miseries. So in both cases, a person is doing some service. But in one case, in case of sense enjoyment, he is trying to serve himself. And the result is going to be miseries. Whereas if you try to serve the reservoir of pleasure, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then automatically the result is going to be different. If you are serving the reservoir of pleasure, reservoir of happiness, we don't have to say that automatically we are going to become happy. And that is what the various verses that we saw from Bhagavad Gita was emphasizing. So if we really want happiness, then we must seek the service of the Lord. If we serve the Lord, that means we are definitely going to be happy. So I was listening to one lecture where it was said that if we seek happiness, we are not going to get it. But if we seek service of the Lord, then happiness comes as a byproduct of the service of the Lord. It is going to automatically come. You don't have to endeavor separately for happiness. So the only thing that is required in our life is devotional service, service to the Supreme Lord. Everyone is looking for happiness. Everyone is running after happiness. But what we should really run after is not happiness. We should run after the service of the Lord, devotional service of the Lord. And the days like today, appearance day of Lord Ram, is when this resolve that we have for serving the Supreme Lord, we can increase. This is a remembrance. If we are doing some service, then how we can increase it. And this is remembrance. If you are not doing any service, then we can start it. The devotional service can be started today. And just like we were seeing on our group today, various Vaishnavas, little Vaishnavas and little Vaishnavis, we are cooking some bhoga items for the Lord and offering. So this is devotional service. So that is why I mentioned there that I am 100% sure, and it is a guarantee, that Lord Ram is being very, very pleased with these little Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, as well as their teachers, as well as their parents. Because we were saying in 2-3 days ago that the duty of an Acharya is to connect the minds of everyone to the Supreme Lord. So these teachers and the parents who are trying to connect their children's minds and their senses to the Supreme Lord, they are teaching them devotional service. And of course, Lord Ram is going to be very, very pleased with all of you who are doing this wonderful devotional service. And one of the simplest way of doing devotional service and the sacrifice as well is chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which you are all doing and you are all doing regularly as well. So this week we have been discussing about Lord Ram's pastimes. So we will continue on that theme itself today as well. So we saw this yesterday. So just a recap of that we have done. Okay. So we have discussed this pastime as well a little bit yesterday, that finally Lord Ram has been exiled from from Ayodhya on request of Kaikeyi, and Mother Sita and his brother Lakshman decides to go as well with him. Though they have been not exiled, but they also decide to go with him. So now they have taken uh, the blessings of the mothers, including Lord Ram goes to Mother Kaikeyi as well and seeks blessings from her. And we discussed a little bit about that yesterday, their conversation. So finally, they have now left from Ayodhya. They have departed from Ayodhya. Now, while they are departing, all the Ayodhya Vasis decides that wherever there is Lord Ram, there is Ayodhya. This kingdom with their houses, their palaces, or their wealth, their property, and whatever is of no use if Lord Ram is not going to be in this kingdom. So when Lord Ram is actually going on a chariot, so Sumantra, the prime minister of Ayodhya, he is taking them, all three of them, on a chariot. And all of these people, they are following him. All the Ayodhya Vasis are following him. And Lord Ram stops at one particular point and he says that please go back. Please go back to Ayodhya. Please don't follow me. And he gives them advice that please show the same love that you are showing to me to Bharat as well. And he glorifies Bharat, he glorifies his father as well, Dashrath, and he says that please uh, do not do any activity that will agonize the king, because he can see that his father, he is very agonized already. So Dashrath was very agonized by Ram going to exile to forest. And all these Ayodhya Vasis are trying to follow Lord Ram, but he's trying to actually ask them to go back. But he's saying that please make sure that you don't agonize the king further by blaming him for what he has done. And don't even blame Bharat. He is glorious and he loves me. So please actually show your love to, repose your love into Bharat as well. Accept him as your next king. But by saying this and by glorifying his father and Bharat, the love that the Ayodhya Vasis felt for Lord Ram increased manifold. So the first lesson that we can learn here is that when some difficult time comes, there is no point in blaming others for that. So that is one part. And the second part is, by glorifying others, you become attractive. Think about this. By glorifying others, by genuine glorification, I'm not talking about a glorification just for the sake of glorifying. So in your heart, you are not having that feeling, and just because it has been said that by glorifying you are becoming attractive, you start glorifying others. No, if you have this feeling in your heart, and then you are expressing that what is there within, if you express that outside, and that kind of glorification, automatically you become attractive. So instead of, generally in material world, we have this habit of criticizing others, and we are doing that to show that how we are superior to others. But this is more interesting, that by glorifying others we are going to get attractive, not by criticizing others. So Ram is very wonderful leader. He knows exactly to what to do in what situation. So he is, while he is departing from Ayodhya, he is making sure that the Ayodhya Vasis doesn't have any hard feelings for uh, the king, his father, as well as the future king, which is Bharat. So he's having this genuine feeling. Otherwise, someone will say that, "अरे मैं तो जा रहा हूँ अभी." Whatever they want to do, let them do. I am going. Whatever they want to do, they are on their own. No, he's making sure that he's setting the stage and everything properly for the people who are leaving behind. So Lord Ram comes out of Ayodhya and comes at the banks of a river, and everyone, including the residents of Ayodhya, rested at the banks. So it is the evening time. So as we were discussing, the first day he has got this opportunity to come out of the palace, and he's going for the exile, and he said that he wanted to hear the wisdom of the sages. So he immediately goes in the association of sages, and he starts hearing from them. And we talked about the difference between wisdom and knowledge that day. So we'll continue. So the first night itself, he started learning. So he was genuinely interested in hearing from various sages. And he is the Supreme Lord himself. All the knowledge comes from him. And still he is keen to hear. So what about all of us? Just like Lord Ram is so keen to receive this knowledge and this wisdom, we should also be very keen, and we should be eager to hear. And wherever there is opportunity to hear these words of glorifying the Supreme Lord, we should always be attracted to it. So what happens is then everyone is sleeping afterwards. Lord Ram also rests. But what he does is, even before the dawn, he wakes up. And Lakshmana asks why we are waking up so early, and what is happening. He's saying, he wakes up Sumantra and everyone, and he's saying that before Ayodhya Vasis can actually wake up, let's go from here. Otherwise, they will keep following us. And that is how Lord Ram does a transcendental trickery with Ayodhya Vasis. And when Ayodhya Vasis get up, they see that there is no Lord Ram. And the way Lord Ram tricks them is that he asks Sumantra to take the chariot towards Ayodhya first. So when they see that there is no chariot there, they try to find out how the other chariot has gone. And they see that the chariot has gone towards Ayodhya. And they think, oh, everyone has, like, Lord Ram has gone back to Ayodhya. So let us go back to Ayodhya. And that is how they return Ayodhya. But whereas Ram has tricked them, and he has gone towards the forest. So Lord Ram finally reaches the border of this Koshal province in which Ayodhya is. And there is this place called Shringabherpur, where this tribal king Guha was ruling. Of course, he was also under the umbrella of Ayodhya province, Kaushal province itself. So it is like he was reporting to Dashrath. But he was a tribal king there. So when Guha sees Lord Ram coming there, he becomes very pleased. But at the same time, he is wondering why Lord Ram is wearing all these ascetic clothes. So then, first of all, he pays obeisances. He pays obeisances to Lord Ram, Mother Sita, Lakshman, and then Lord Ram immediately embraces him. And Lakshman is amazed to see all of this. He is wondering that Lord Ram is a prince of Ayodhya. And still, how closely he is knowing Guha, and how closely he is interacting with Guha. He was happy to embrace. He was not thinking that, oh, he's like a lower caste or whatever. It is not like that. He is thinking that Lord Ram is thinking that he is my devotee, and he's embracing him, different cultures or whatever, but still he was very, very closely associated with his devotees. So one thing that we can learn from this, from Lord Ram's, how he is interacting with Guha, that whatever your position is, you may become like a very wonderful devotee over a period of time, or materially you can become very opulent, you can become a CEO, CTO, or whatever. but we should always remain grounded and we should always remain humble. Humility is this quality which is the most attractive. There is uh, no response that you can do to humility. If you are humble, everyone will be defeated in front of that humility. So after understanding why Lord Ram is in this clothes, Guha says that, um, oh, oh Lord Ram, you don't have to go anywhere now. My kingdom is your kingdom. So stay here for 14 years. And then after 14 years, you can go back to Ayodhya. So Lord Ram says that I'm bound by my vow. So I'm not going to enter any kingdom like this. I have decided that my vow is that I'm going to only eat roots and fruits. I'm only going to sleep on grass, and that is how I'm going to live. So though Guha is inviting him to come within the kingdom, he stays outside and he remains there uh, outside of his kingdom. That night, Lakshmana creates a bed of grass under a shade of a tree, and that is where Mother Sita and Lord Ram sleeps. And Lakshman is awake. He's awake, and he's not only awake, he's on his bow and arrow. So he's going around like he's doing pradakshina of that tree, and he's doing circumambulation of that place where Mother Sita and Lord Ram is sleeping. He's protecting them. So Guha was having some doubt that why Lakshmana is not sleeping, and not only he's not sleeping, he is also having this bow and arrow, and he starts thinking that is this the plan of Bharat, that he has sent Lakshman so that when Lord Ram is sleeping, he has asked Lakshmana to kill both of them, and that is why he's doing like that. So what he does, Guha does, he's thinking that I have to actually protect Lord Ram. So when Lakshmana is doing this circumambulation, Guha is also having his bow and arrow and is circumambulating Lakshmana and all of them from a distance. And in his mind, he's thinking that if Lakshmana starts doing something wrong with this bow and arrow, I will kill him before he can harm Lord Ram. So while that is going on, some of the soldiers of Guha, they see that this is very strange. I have never seen Guha doing like this. And then they watch, what is he doing? And then they see that Guha from a distance is pointing his bow and arrow towards where Lord Ram is sleeping. And they start wondering, what is the plan? What is Guha trying to do? From outside, he has been showing that he is the devotee of Lord Ram and well-wisher of Lord Ram. But it looks like that he's pointing the arrow towards Lord Ram. So what they think, we can't make this, we can't allow this. So while Lakshmana is pointing this bow and arrow and he's protecting Lord Ram, Guha is actually also circumambulating him with his bow and arrow, and Guha's soldiers from a distance further, they are circumambulating all of them with their bow and arrow, thinking that I want to protect Lord Ram. So this is quite interesting. So everyone are thinking that they are trying to protect Lord Ram. They are awake and they are doubting each other. There are only two people who are sleeping very peacefully, and that is Lord Ram and Mother Sita. So finally, after some time, Lakshmana sees that, there is this sound that is coming from a distance place. So he sees that Guha is there. So then they talk to each other, and that is how this communication resolves the problem. So then at that time, Guha asks, why are you not sleeping? So he explains, Lakshmana explains, interestingly, he says that I have taken a vow that all 14 years, Not saying 1 day or 2 days. He's saying that I have taken a vow that I will not sleep for all 14 years. He is saying that I will not sleep at all for 14 years. I will only sleep once I go back and to Ayodhya with, of course, with Lord Ram. So I have taken the vow that I'm going to serve Lord Ram and Mother Sita. So this entire 14 years, I'm going to not sleep at all. So at that time, this conflict, the devotees were, so the lesson that we can learn from that is even the devotees may have some conflict between them. While they are serving the Supreme Lord, it is possible that there may be some conflict between them. So best to have some good communication channel between them, and through that good communication, they can resolve their conflicts. Otherwise, it is very difficult. If the communication is broken, then the conflict will become bigger and bigger. So next day, the story continues. Our time is up. It's already, not today is Friday, so we'll continue on this on Monday. If anyone has any questions, we can take them now. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, because we have lockout, we are feeling so anxious about getting the groceries and all that. For 14 years, going in exile, I don't think they carried any stuff with them. It is a very, very awesome thing that, because they are gods, they did that. So, I always had this question, like, how did they manage their living?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. That so for few days of lockout, people were rushing towards the supermarket and buying these toilet papers, grocery, and whatever, and they were loading everything. So it was not that when I'm saying that Lord Ram went on a chariot, it was not that he had the chariot full of grocery and all the clothes and whatever that they were carrying, so that for 14 years of supply they were taking with them. No, they went with nothing because of the simple life. Vanvas or the exile means the life of ascetic. The sages who are staying in forests, they also live the similar kind of life. They are staying there on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So they are not thinking what will happen tomorrow. So they are not thinking like that because they have faith in the Supreme Lord, that if the Lord takes care of all the animals in the forest for every day, they don't have to actually carry everything and stock everything. So why would I have to do that? So every day they will just go for getting some fruits and roots, and then based on that, they will survive. So in exile, it is said that Lakshmana, when they actually go to Chitrakoot, Lakshmana builds a small hut using some tree barks and some bamboos there, and using that, and inside that, then Mother Sita and Lord Ram used to live, stay, and every day then Lakshmana will go and get some roots and fruits. And in Chitrakoot, where they were staying almost for like 13 years that they stayed there, they had the streams of water. So they would use that water for drinking, as well as they will use that the same place, like in the same stream, they will have their bathing. So they were just living very simple life. And the best thing that they will do is after all of that is done, they will hear from the sages. So their mainly their time will be spent like that. So very simple life. Yeah, actually, um, I have seen this in India as well, that many people go on this pilgrimage. So I know this because Anand Manjari's parents, they went for this pilgrimage called a parikrama of river Narmada. And this actually is thousands of kilometers walking that they have to go. 3,000? Around 3,000 kilometers they have to walk. So when they are walking 3,000 kilometers, of course, they cannot carry a heavy suitcase of 15 kilos or 20 kilos. So they only have their luggage is only one backpack, because when you are carrying that luggage every day while walking, even 1 kilo is very heavy. So they have to actually carry only one extra set of clothes. So one set they are wearing, one extra set of clothes they will have. They don't carry any food. they are completely dependent on the mercy of the people, mercy of the Lord and the devotees. And that is what they will do. They will take their shower, they will dry the clothes, and then they will put the other one, and then they will go like that. Yeah, and whatever people will give for eating, they will eat. And if they don't get, then they will fast and they will sleep. Yeah, and then they will sleep wherever there is a possibility that wherever they can get some shade, that they will just sleep there. And uh, people who are like us, who are living in comfort and nicely, it is unimaginable from our perspective, but that is possible. And that kind of austerity and simplicity uh, will actually make their life very easier life, and then they can live in a very small amount of money. And of course, the ascetics don't even require any money because they are completely living on the mercy of God. So it is possible, it is austere, it is difficult, but that makes our life very simple. Okay, who's next? Kandu Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and happy Ram Navami. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much again. Wonderful lectures. You mentioned earlier about not blaming others for the misery, and to glorify in our hearts, truly glorify others instead. Correct me if I'm going wrong anyway. And you said we blame others. I couldn't remember. I think you said we blame others because it makes us feel glorified. Is that?
Yeah.
That sort of answered my earlier question in a way, because sometimes, the other lecture you gave about not finding fault in others.
Yes.
Similar
not
things.
Finding fault.
Sorry?
Not finding faults.
Or not, yeah, not finding fault. And sometimes the tendency here is to actually do that, to find fault or blame. And I think you've answered the question, and it's because I feel as if, I'm not sure if
So what is your question, Prabhuji?
I think I've answered it in a way. It's why is it that we sometimes blame or find fault in others? Can you just recap on that?
Sure. Okay. So what I was mentioning earlier was that by finding faults in others, we are trying to show our superiority on them. So instead of actually making ourselves better, we are trying to show how we are better by showing other people lesser than us. So that is the main logic or main reason why people find faults. Except for some genuine cases where, for example, a spiritual master finding a fault in his disciple so that he can make progress. But the difference between the two is that the spiritual master doesn't have envy. His intention is that he wants to actually, he has love for his disciple, and that is why he's doing it. But whereas when in the material world we see that people are trying to find faults in each other, that is coming from the envy, where we are trying to show other people down, and then by that we are trying to make us bigger. So the ideal way of you becoming better is that actually you improve yourself, and then automatically you become better than others. But in the material world, the easier way is that you remain the same and show to the world that how other people are bad, and then that is how you look bigger. Automatically then you look bigger like that. And that is the logic why people try to find faults in others. So we should actually try to avoid that because that is not going to help us. Okay, there are a few questions I have received from on the chat. So Ram Krishna Prabhu is saying that will Lord trick his devotees? So tricking, so Lord always have good plans or better plans than what we have planned for ourselves. And sometimes the devotees would want to actually stick with their plans. And at that time, sometimes then the Lord has to trick his devotees for their own good. But always the Lord has good intentions towards his devotees, and he is doing it out of his love for all of his devotees.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My question is, how does Lakshmana stay awake for 14 years?
Oh, how did he remain awake for 14 years?
Yeah.
So it is inconceivable from our perspective that when we remain awake for one night or 2 nights, even forget about 2 nights. 2 nights is far away. Even for one night, then it becomes unbearable for us. But for the Lord and his close associates, it is not very difficult. And we can see this from the examples of, for example, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada used to only sleep for 2 to 4 hours, just 2 to 4 hours every night. And in the rest of the night, he will do translation, and he will write these books that we are now reading. So if it is possible for the human beings to just sleep for so little, then the close associates of the Supreme Lord, it is not that difficult. So what is happening is, it is mentioned that when on the first night, when Nidra Devi came to Lakshmana, so Lakshmana said that, go away. And when Lakshmana says to Nidra Devi, go away, Nidra Devi doesn't have the power to again come back to him. Because of that, then he's able to, and he says that now for 14 years, don't come anywhere near me. My vow is to serve the Supreme Lord, and then she goes away from him. Lakshmana is considered quite angry or very short-tempered from that perspective, and he doesn't like anyone going against Lord Ram, or doesn't like anyone who comes in between the service of the Lord Ram. So everyone knows that, and they are all fearful that he has powerful weapons. So if he says to Nidra Devi that go away, don't come for 14 years, Nidra Devi will not come for 14 years towards him. You and I don't have that power, unfortunately. But it is possible for him to do that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
He was saying if Lakshman took a vow to protect Lord Ram, so while Lord Ram was sleeping, why was he pointing the bow and arrow at Lord Ram? Why was Lakshman pointing the
No, he was not pointing the bow and arrow towards Lord Ram. So he was actually ready with bow and arrow, because it was not that when the animals or enemies attack, at that time he can slowly take his bow. Where is my bow? Where is my arrow? So he's always ready and he's alert. That is what I'm saying. So he was alert with bow and arrow, and he was circumambulating, looking everywhere to see whether there is any enemy, or because they are sitting in a jungle as well. So there can be some lion, tiger, or whatever, thinking that, oh, this is my food. So I will just have my food, my dinner. So that is why he was very alert. He was not pointing the bow and arrow towards Lord Ram. What I was mentioning was that Guha saw that Lakshman was circumambulating Lord Ram and Mother Sita with his bow and arrow, with ready. And he started thinking that whether his plan is that he is going to kill. So that is why that confusion came. Vichitra Prabhu?
Can you ask?
If Bharat and Satrughna were like avatar of the conch shell and Sudarshan Chakra, but how can they be alive if the conch shell or Sudarshan Chakra are not alive?
Oh, very good question. So again, I will confirm that part afterwards, but I can explain about your specific question. So in the spiritual world, everything is conscious, including the paraphernalia of the Lord is conscious, and they are serving the Supreme Lord, not like what we see, like things here in the material world do not have life. But in the spiritual world, everything has life. So Sudarshan Chakra as well has life, and the conch of the Supreme Lord also has life. And they are servants of the Lord, and they are serving the Lord in that position. And that is why if they want to incarnate, they can.
Prabhuji, the question is, the Lord, he himself has come as a human in Ramayan. He wants to show the humanly behavior in Ramayan. That's my understanding. And Lord servants, Adishesha, Adisheshu, Kanch and Shanku, they came as a Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrugna. So, in this case, in the 14 years, Lord Ram, he himself is showing humanly behavior. In that context, Lakshman, 14 years he didn't sleep. How we need to pretend that? Because as a Lord, he himself is not showing his powers, and he wants to be as a show has humanly behavior. In that case, Lord servants, they are showing some powers. How we need to interpret that proposition?
So what powers you are referring to?
Where Lakshman is not slept for almost 14 years.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So, so the reason I mentioned about it. Okay, first of all, you said that Lord appeared as a human. So that's not correct. So whenever Lord appears, so it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tatvata tyaktva deha punarjanmam naiti mameti swarjana. So Janma karma of the Supreme Lord, they are divya, they are transcendental. Whenever Lord appears in this material world, at that point as well, he is always transcendental. So he appears in the form, he appears in his original supreme form. So when we appear, at that time what we have is we have this material body, and within that we are the spirit soul. But when the Lord appears internally and externally, he is all transcendental. He is all soul. There is no matter.
Okay.
Right? So that is first thing to understand. And then showing these special skills, I think that is not a very big thing in those yugas. Okay. Because you can see that there are many demons as well, and many sages as well, who will be doing austerities.
I understand.
So they will, when they are doing austerities, at that time they will be for 10,000 years, they will do 5,000 years, they will do. And at that time they are not that, okay, they are not taking a break, that 8 hours they will do austerity and 8 hours they are taking sleep.
I understand.
In 8 hours they are doing something else. Yeah. So it was not a very extraordinary thing at that point in time, in that particular yuga, to be able to not sleep. Whoever were austere, they were able to do. And these weapons that this Lord Ram and Lakshmana had, they are given to them. And we were talking about that earlier, that sage Vishwamitra had given them all these powerful weapons. Of course, it is their own power, but in this particular time, in this Leela pastime, they are getting these weapons from Vishwamitra. So that is how they have got this superhuman, super powerful weapons.
Understand, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay. So we still have Bharadwajashi Prabhu. You still have any question, or that is from earlier?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, earlier you were talking about not to blame others. How about in situations where we are trying to defend ourselves, or we are trying to actually we've been made a scapegoat, and then people are trying to blame us, throw blame on us. So how should we behave in those situations, Prabhuji?
Yeah. So this episode that is going to come now, the story that we are going to talk where Bharat, your name is also Prabhu Bharat only. Is someone blaming you, Prabhu? Please tell me. I will take care of them. So Bharat actually shows everywhere, everyone actually misunderstands him. And then he shows by his self-confidence, and he's not just accepting, but at the same time, he's responding to the blame that people are giving to him with show of self-confidence and his resolve towards Ram. He expresses every time, and because he's genuine, that genuinity comes out of when he's speaking to them, and through that they are able to. He's able to convince all those genuine people. And no matter what, Prabhu, whatever you do, there will be some people who will always misunderstand you, unfortunately. So we have to try our best, but then leave rest to the Lord. When Lord Krishna came himself, when all these incarnations of him came, at that time as well, there were misunderstandings towards them, and people misunderstood them. So even the Lord cannot avoid being misunderstood because it is not dependent on him. It is dependent on each person's mind and their nature. And because the Lord has given them the free will to decide what they want to think, so because of that, we cannot control it. So for the people who are very close to us, we should try our best to convince them. And that is what Bharat did. That whenever these close people, they were having any doubt at him, he actually tried to convince them. And because they were convinced, then of course the other Ayodhya-vasis as well, who were also thinking and doubting him, they also understood that if these people closer to him, they are now like Vashishta. If the sage Vashishta, if he is giving his blessings to Bharat, then people had lot of respect for Vashishta because he is the Brahmarshi. Being Brahmarshi is not an ordinary thing. Brahmarshi, they do austerity for years and years and years, thousands of years they do, and finally they come to that stage where they become as if they are Trikaldarshi. They know past, present, future. So like that they are there. So from that, if he is having the faith in Bharat, then of course the other people also develop faith in him. So that is what best we can do. We can try our best with our self-confidence, and by our genuine devotion, we can try to address.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Subhashri Mataji, we'll take your question and then we'll stop.
Okay, Kaigeyi is the reason for asking the incorrect boons, and that's the reason why Sri Ram, Lakshmana, and Sita, Mother Sita have been exiled. So we said like we shouldn't be blaming anyone. So in this case, is Kaikeyi to be blamed or not? I understand like even when Bharat Maharaj, Bharat, he wouldn't want to excuse his mother at all. When Sri Ram had excused Kaikeyi for what she has done, saying like it is the Vidhatha or the the nature which is the reason for whatever is happening. But are we supposed to blame Kaikeyi for this or not?
So are we supposed to blame Kaikeyi or not?
No.
Oh, Ratilal Prabhu has already said no. You got your answer, Mataji. Ratilal Prabhu has said no.
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So actually, if you look at, see, we have to actually understand where we are. So yesterday as well, there was this question from Ananglata Mataji, and where the discussion was about the happiness and the sacrifices and enjoyment. That should we be just doing sacrifices and there should be no enjoyment at all? And I explained from one perspective. The one perspective that I was trying to explain yesterday was that by doing sacrifices, we are going to get enjoyment. And there are different kinds of enjoyments that devotees will have. But from the other perspective that we should look at is that what we are trying to explain and we are talking about is from the perspective of what is the goal or what is a pure devotee will do. So when we are saying that we should be only doing sacrifices, no, we should not focus on sense enjoyment, all of that we are looking from or talking from this perspective that we are that is our ultimate goal. But when we are acting at this point in time, we have to look at where in our journey we are, where are we on our journey. So if we want to climb this Mount Everest, and we know the top of the Mount Everest is this is our goal. I want to become a pure devotee with all these qualities. But if you are at the bottom of the Mount Everest, what we can do is we can take one step further from where we are. So the same answer for the sense enjoyment question that we were talking about yesterday, as well as the question that you are asking, where we are, from there we have to take one step further, right? So depending on our own situation, our mind will be acting in a particular way. And based on that, we will be saying that, oh, Kaikai is the villain, and that is why everyone went. And then someone will say that, no, actually not Kaikai. Kaikai was a good person. Manthara is the main villain because Manthara has given this advice, and because of that, she became like this. And somebody will blame someone else like that, whatever. But overall, when we are talking about the scriptures, all of that happens, especially when we are talking about Lord, all of that happen as his pastimes. So Lord has planned everything. Whatever pastimes which are going to happen and how the situation is going to happen. He has come there to kill Ravana and all these other demons. So somehow or the other, he is going to kill, right? All of these others, they are part of the drama that he has organized. Yes, they are supporting actors in the movie. He's the hero, he's the director, he's the producer as well of that movie. And all these other people in the drama or in this movie, they are all his supporting actors. And they are doing based on how the nature plays with them. So at one perspective, we can see like this, right? The second thing that we can see is from the purest perspective. If you really want to understand whether we should blame Kaikai or blame someone else, what Lord Ram does. So Lord Ram doesn't actually blame. So he is the one who's going through all that situation. We are only hearing that, oh, Lord Ram has to suffer like this. Mother Sita has to suffer like this. But the person who's going through all that suffering, he's not blaming Kaikai, his mother. So who are we to blame? The same thing happens. People have this question that why did Mother Sita was sent away afterwards? And if Mother Sita doesn't have problem, Lord, then why you have the problem? Then why Bali was killed like that? And if Bali was satisfied, then he took shelter of Lord Ram while dying. And you are still discussing about his death. Why Lord Ram did wrong. So it is like that. So if we actually look at from that perspective, that what Lord Ram did, he's showing what is the best. But from our perspective, we are looking at that as a pastime of the Lord, and we are seeing that there have been some villains in the story. And we will actually look at them and say that, oh, Mother Kaikai shouldn't have done like this. Or Manthara shouldn't have done like this. Or Ravana shouldn't have done like this. Shurpanakha shouldn't have done like this. Or all these demons shouldn't have done like this. So what we are looking at is we can learn from them what should not be done. And Lord Ram and his other associates, we can learn what we should actually do. So we can learn from both, and that should be our perspective when we are studying scriptures. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Kamlesh Maharaj Das Prabhu ki
Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.